Heyo everybody, Haku here with the top 70 Omniscient Reader or Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint characters by Screentime, and I have this big void here, so if you're wondering what's going on there, I kind of struggled with myself for a while on how I was going to end up formatting this, so the characters, as I talk about them, list them, and all of that, will be descending down here as I talk about them. So hopefully the intro won't be too long. You won't have to stare at a black rectangle for too long. But recently, I say recently as if it hasn't been since last year probably, for the past few months in the lead up to chapter 300, I wanted to reread through Omniscient Reader and take notes on everything and get to know the story more, deeper, get another trip through the story basically. And while I was doing it, I was like, I can take Screentime notes while I'm going through it. Now I did take Screentime notes by chapter rather than by panel, because when you go from by chapter to by panel, I don't think it's going to change the ranking too much. There'd be a couple places where it would change, but like I've said when I did Screentime for Tower of God before, I don't think the rankings would change that much, but rather the ones who were already in more chapters would also be in more panels, and so the gaps between them would just widen. And also, for the past however many months, I've spent over an hour a day pretty much every weekday, sometimes longer if I was really in a big Omniscient Reader mood. Spent time rereading and taking notes, so it would be possible to do it by panels, but it would take hundreds of hours, if not more, easily. But either way, I think that I'm pretty happy with the list. I think that most of the characters were pretty easy to tell. The rules for me are basically if they showed up, if they played a role in some way. So for a series like Omniscient Reader, there are always characters like the Constellations that are chiming in via Super Chat. And that counts. They're part of the conversation, sometimes having entire conversations. They're contributing to the chapter. So if somebody's mentioned, it doesn't count, but if somebody's actually there, it does. So if somebody's actually contributing to the chapter. And that leaves just one, I'm pretty sure you can all tell who, one very questionable character. That it's like, how on earth do we actually count them? So I will talk about them when we get to them, but just know that there is one that no matter how I chose to count was gonna be really questionable. And the reason here that I ended up with 70 is because originally I was like, I'd try to go for an even top 50, but I wanted to include all the characters who were at least somewhat kind of important. So really getting to the top 70 was enough for me to include pretty much everybody that's important. So, you know me, I tend to go overboard, and I wanted to include anyone who I thought was at least important. So that's how we ended up with so many here. And also, this is just going by the Webtoon release chapter 300, so please don't leave any spoilers for anything beyond that. Like if one character turns out to also be another character, don't spoil, this character should also count for this. Please. This is just going by Webtoon chapter 300. Either way, though, I guess I should have specified that at the very beginning, but either way, I don't want to leave you too much longer on the intro. I've gone on for like 4 minutes already. Let's just go, and if I need to obviously discuss or chime in on anything about the character, I will, but I'll try to keep this mostly just about the actual results, about the actual data. Now, in the bottom 30, 41 to 30, there are a bit of ties, so it's going to kind of skew things a little bit, but starting out with characters that appeared in 8 chapters, 65th to 70th place, tie for 65th would be the Nail-Eating Rat, the Tyrant King, Ilsung Myung, the Catastrophe of Questions, Yamato no Orochi, I think it was Sovereign of 8 Heads, Osu, the dog who threw himself into the flames, and Duke Siswitz. And in an 8-way tie for 57th place with 9 appearances each, we have the Nouveau Riche Snake Boss, the Parasite Queen Antinous Baram from the Dokubi administration, Reinheit von Gerba, the ruler of Paradise, I think it was, Izumi Hiroki. We've got the Scribe of Heaven, Metatron, Selena Kim, and Yoongi. And then moving up 2 spots, we have a tie for 55th place, Han Dong-hoon and the Chimera Dragon with 10 appearances each. Next in a tie for 53rd would be Great King Hung-moo and the mass producer, the two of them. And then for 50th place, we have a 3-way tie at 12 appearances each with Iris Rebezovna Vladimirovna? Or do I get her two surnames mixed up? I always mix up Iris's name. King Oedipus and Dokgak, the 3 of them tied there. And that would bring us into our top 50 with a big tie for 44th place, I think it would be, between 45th place, a big tie for 45th place between Manu, the founder of Mankind, Goryo's top model, Goryo's top swordsman, Lycaon Isperang, Michio Shoji, and Jun Il-do. 44th place with 14 appearances is just Nirvana Mobius, and then with 15 appearances in 41st place would be the tie between Yumiya, who has literally done like one thing, like threw up the flag post that one time, and that's about it, but has managed to linger around to make it this highly. This would be one of those exceptions where if we did do things by panels, I imagined that ranking would change. But as we go higher, that's something that would happen less. Then the Lady of the Sleeping Brocade, the Queen of Silla, I forget her actual name in history, but Lady of the Sleeping Brocade shows up kind of a bit when it comes to like warning Dokja about things, at least twice, showing up whenever the historical constellations show up twice. We see the representative incarnation at the Constellation Banquet that time, so showing up kind of a bit, but once again another one of those that if we were counting by panels would probably be done a little bit differently. And also Dionysus, the god of alcohol and ecstasy. Trying to remember everybody's names and modifiers off the top of my head. And now that we're into the top 40, it'll be a little bit less jagged because I'll just do 10 at a time. So going from 31st to 40th now. A tie for 37th, 4-way tie between Asmodeus, the Sky-Breaking Swordmaster, the One-Eyed Maitreya King Cha Sang-young, I think was his name, and Anna Croft. They all showed up 16 times, and then showing up 17 times in 36th place would be Boksoon. I always get confused whether her name is Sumbok or Boksoon, but I think it's Boksoon. The official translation got it wrong at least once, and ever since then I am constantly getting confused back and forth at which it is, but I do believe it's Boksoon. A 3-way tie for 33rd place between Minsub, Asuka-ren, and Skybreaking Master with 18 appearances each. Then with 19 appearances, there is the Naval Warfare God. In 32nd and 31st with 20 appearances would be Songguk. Reaching our top 30 gives us in 30th place Kyrgios Radgrim with 22 appearances, and then our second to last tie would be for 28th place between Youngran and Mark Javier or Xavier. Then 27th place with 24 appearances is Kim Nam-woon / Pluto now, and in 26th place with 26 appearances is the Great Monk Sam-young or Bald Army General. 25th place with 27 appearances is Paul, and then our last tie is a 3-way tie for 22nd place with 33 appearances each between Seohwa, Jiwon, and Eileen. And this is how you know that me going through, taking my screen time notes and everything is trustworthy, because if I was kind of fudging the numbers a little bit, I would have broke up this tie a little bit. Like, instead of having a 3-way tie this high up, I could have spread them out a little bit. But yeah, 3-way tie for 22nd place between Seohwa, who is just kind of vaguely around from time to time. Like, she really hasn't done much of anything ever. Min Ji-won, who shows up a surprising amount, I feel like, for somebody that people just don't talk about very much. And Eileen, who is a bit newer, but has played a lot of a role in the Demon World stuff. And then finally, just outside of our top 20 in 21st place would be Persephone at 34 appearances. And I have just been so brain rotted from going through, rereading the entire series, taking notes every time I see a character. Like, I'm like, oh, there is Dokya Yongyuk. And I am just like going through, and every time I get to her, I'm like, Persephone, your name is Stephanie. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Every single time I see her now, it is now stuck in my head.
Your name is Stephanie? Oh my gosh, I can't believe it!
In 20th place, moving into our top 20, we have Abyssal Black Flame Dragon with 35 appearances, and then with 40 appearances in 19th place is Dokja's mom, Sugyoung. At least I'm pretty sure her name is Sugyoung. I will be real with you. Mentally, I still am always just like, Dokja's mom. In 18th place with 50 appearances is BU / 41st Yusung. BU and 41st Yusung I counted together, and I counted Modern Yusung as a separate character, because Modern Yusung, like current round Yusung, is her own person, but 41st Yusung is also BU. So I counted BU and 41st Yusung as the same character, and they made it into 50 combined chapters here. 17th place is Gong Pildu, or Pildu Gong, with 52 appearances, and then Secretive Plotter makes it into 16th place with 53 appearances. With 55 appearances in 15th place is Han Myung-go, and then in 14th place you have Jang Hayoung or Aslan Makerfield, and they had 59 appearances. And in 13th place is the big questionable one. It's Fourth Wall. I had 60 appearances, but literally any way that you try to count Fourth Wall is going to be questionable. And again, I mentioned at the beginning, if Fourth Wall or Secretive Plotter turns out to be another character, please don't spoil me or anything. But Fourth Wall is questionable. I tried to only count when Fourth Wall was like actually talking or doing something, like playing a role in a conscious way. Like if it's just like, oh, the skill Fourth Wall has been hit by something, then it's like, that's passive. That's not really the Fourth Wall being a character, not really the Fourth Wall actively doing something that would require it to be like sentient to do. So I tried to only count when it was doing something like active, but it is very questionable. Like, the whole time I was taking notes, I was like, everybody's just gonna have to understand that counting the Fourth Wall for something like this is just going to be questionable. Like, what does or doesn't count is kind of vague at times. 12th place is Bi-hyung with 65 appearances, and then a massive jump when it comes to 11th place, just outside of the top 10, to 88 appearances when it comes to Wukong, the great sage, heaven's equal, prisoner of the golden headband. So now, before we get into the top 10, I would say, really quick, give me your predictions down in the comments if you want to. Pause the video, let me know how you think the 10 of them will be organized. I think with such a main character heavy series, you kinda know who number 1's going to be, but the other 9 could be kind of questionable. I think that compared to some other series that I've done or watched Screentime stuff for, ORV is a little bit less difficult to guess, but there are still maybe some surprises for some of you. 10th place is Uriel, the demonic judge of fire, with 91 appearances, making it into the top 10. It's cool to see one of our kind of original super chatting constellations make it up here, though Uriel has appeared a bunch more in a bunch of other forms too. In 9th place would be Han Soo-young with 93 appearances, and then with 94 appearances, just one chapter more, would be the current round, the modern Shin Yu-sung. In 7th place is Hui Won with 110 appearances, making it in over 1/3 of the chapters in the series. And in 6th place, just outside of the top 5, is Ji Hye with 116 appearances. In 5th place with 137 appearances is Sang-ah, and then in 4th place with 139 appearances is Hyun Sung. So both of them making the top 5 isn't super surprising. They've been part of our main group, our main squad, since kind of the very beginning, even if they've been away here and there for various arcs. And then 3rd place is a pretty surprising one for me, because going back through and rereading the early parts of the series, I was like, wow, Gil Young is in a lot of this. He is in almost every arc. When we have other characters splitting off and doing other things, Gil Young is almost always with Dokja, with the main squad. And it's just shocking because there is so much development there and so much screen time there that's really, really front-loaded, and then kind of falls off a lot where we just don't get as much development and don't get as much screen time for Gil Young other than just kind of hanging around with the rest of the team when we get later on into the series. And for an exact number, Gil Young had 143 appearances and Jungkook had 186, coming in 2nd place. That kind of makes sense once again. He spends a bit of time away from the group, but he's the main character of TWSA. Jungkook's here a lot. Jungkook does a lot of things, and while he spends a lot of time away from the group, he spends a lot of time with the group, or at least with Dokja, even when a lot of other characters aren't. So it wasn't super surprising for him to be in 2nd. Not as surprising to me as Gil Young in 3rd. Like, I could have seen potentially Soo-young being a bit higher. I'm a little bit surprised that Ji Hye is so high. I would have thought maybe Ji Hye was slightly lower. Hui Won makes sense. For as much as I love her and as important as she is, she does spend a lot of time separated from the group. And then, of course, 1st place is Dokja. It's very clear, very obvious. Of all the series that I watch or read, Omniscient Reader is one of the most main character heavy, main character focused series there is. And in fact, if we are including the prologue, which I did include the prologue in this, so technically it's 301 chapters, there are only 3 chapters that had no Dokja whatsoever. Dokja had 298 appearances. The only chapters with no Dokja at all were chapter 100, a big milestone chapter, where at that point he had been killed by 41st Yusung during all of that, and that chapter is just 41st Yusung fighting against Hyun Sung and Ji Hye and the current round Yusung and Jungkook. Like, that is just the fight with Dokja's allies versus the 41st Yusung. Then he isn't there for chapter 186, I think. Yeah, chapter 186, and that one is when Hui Won is finding out the truth about Reinheid and Paradise and all of that, and it's a big, just sort of info dump kind of chapter, and it's mostly just Hui Won and what Hui Won is going through. And then also, not long after that, there is no Dokja in chapter 189, which is just mostly Hui Won and Jungkook, but some of the other characters fighting against Reinheid at the end of the Paradise stuff. So those are the only 3 chapters where we don't have Dokja showing up. But with all of that aside, hopefully my delivery wasn't too much of a mess. I went, I referred to notes here and there, but I went for a lot of this off the top of my head. I had a lot of fun rereading. I appreciate the story so much more now. I appreciate the characters so much more now. And Chapter 300 was amazing. What's been going on in the recent arcs are amazing. I've said a bunch in my ORV videos that for me, ORV started off as something that I liked, and then every single arc pretty much, it just gets better and better and better. So I completely love it, and I wanted to do a couple special videos now that we've gotten to 300, and again, now that I've reread, now that I have this greater appreciation, now that I feel like I know a lot more after taking notes, I really do want to go back through the series, and maybe chapter by chapter. We just started chapter 50, like chapter as in the arcs, or what the Webtoons lists as quote-unquote chapters, rather than episodes. I might go back through. In the early days, I reviewed a few of the early ones. I don't know if I'll re-review those. I don't know if I really need to. if I would have any deeper thoughts really there, because it was only a couple of them. But I would love to go through chapter by chapter now and just sort of do reviews or discussions, just sit around and talk about ORV with you all and talk about some of the story themes and different things like that again. I do already in the reactions, but I just wanted to do some more stuff other than reactions because as you can tell if you've been around the channel, for months and months now, I have just been really, really, really in on ORV. I have just been big on ORV lately. But either way, that is going to be it for today. So thank you for being here. Like if you did like the video, I do have another sort of non-reaction kind of video coming up that I'm probably going to record directly after this and then post the day afterward. I'm hoping to post this on Saturday and post that on Sunday. And then we'll be back for probably Tuesday with the usual reactions. So either way, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching and everything. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that. It is really appreciated. If you want to help support the channel by sharing around or dropping a super thanks, it's appreciated. If you would like to help support the channel by becoming a member or patron, you not only help support the channel, you get your name at the end of videos and get One Piece videos early. Yeah, One Piece videos. For some reason, I always feel like I mess that up even when I don't. But just hit join down below to become a member. Go to patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description to become a patron. Thank you so much to people who are already members and patrons. Thank you to chosen regulars Evan Holly and Bertie Wooster, Magical Girls, Dee Bannon and Maru, Cheriton Student, David Langstaff, Slayer Candidates, SGN, Stan Cedar, and Pure Elements, Patio Deal, and Elsa the Storyteller. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you all next time.